Welcome to another masterpiece of mayhem, cunning criminals. We will cover the Brink's Job, America's perfect $2.07 million heist. It was called the crime of the century. Find out why it almost was. You've got an entire vault filled with millions, security guards everywhere, alarm systems, cameras, and armed men. And in the middle of it all, a crew of criminals silently and smoothly walks in, takes everything, and walks out without a single soul being the wiser. Sound like something from a movie, right? Well, here's the thing. This wasn't a movie. This actually happened. Back in 1952, a crew of thieves managed to pull off one of the most flawless heists in American history, stealing $2.07 million in cash, which is equivalent to about $20 million today. And the crazy part? No one was ever caught, and the money disappeared without a trace. The heist went down in history as the Brink's Job, and it remains one of the most audacious and perfect crimes in the books. So let's break it down and see how a crew of criminals pulled off something that left law enforcement scratching their heads for years. Trust me, you're going to want to stick with me on this one. The masterminds behind the heist. Let's start with the mastermind behind the entire operation, Joseph Joe McGinnis. He wasn't some reckless, flashy criminal looking for the next big score. No, Joe was methodical, intelligent, and above all, he understood how to make a plan work. His goal wasn't just to steal money. It was to pull off a perfect crime, something no one could ever trace back to him. And, by the way, he succeeded. Big time. Oof. Joe was no stranger to criminal activity. He'd been involved in smaller heists before, but nothing on this scale. This was going to be the one. He knew that in order to pull this off, he needed a team of experts, people who could handle pressure, stay calm under fire, and execute a plan without a single mistake. So Joe put together a crew that was sharp, skilled, and most importantly, trustworthy. Each member had a specific role to play. There was Lewis, the human fly, a man known for his ability to scale almost anything. If you needed someone to climb to an impossible height, Lewis was your guy. Then there was the vault expert, the getaway drivers, the men who could blend into the background and make sure the entire operation went unnoticed. These were seasoned professionals. The thing about these guys, they weren't in it for the fame. No, they were in it for one reason: the perfect score. They wanted to get in, grab the cash, and disappear without leaving a single trace. And that's exactly what they set out to do. Joe McGinnis wasn't some lucky criminal who stumbled into this opportunity. This was his plan from the start. He'd spent months gathering intel, figuring out the weaknesses in Brink's security, and finding ways to exploit them. He didn't rush in. He was patient. And when the time came, he knew exactly what to do. The plan, flawless execution. The target? The Brink's Armory in Boston, a fortress-like facility that housed millions in cash, valuables, and securities. It was known for its high-level security, armed guards, advanced alarm systems, and a vault that could withstand just about anything. The kind of place where you'd expect no one could break in. But Joe and his crew saw things differently. They knew it was all about timing, precision, and knowing exactly where to strike. For months, they watched. They learned the guards' routines, studied the layout of the building, and made sure they had all the tools they needed. Joe knew that to break into the vault, he'd need more than just a good plan. He needed the perfect one. Here's the thing, they didn't go in guns blazing. No, they went in smooth. The crew knew that any hint of violence would send the whole plan spiraling. Instead, they took a calm, calculated approach. They infiltrated the building without anyone even knowing they were there. The team split up into two groups. One group disabled the security systems, while the other focused on neutralizing the guards. They didn't need to hurt anyone, they just needed to make sure they wouldn't be disturbed. The crew had every move planned to perfection. They knew exactly what time each guard took their break, how long the patrols lasted, and where the blind spots in the security cameras were. Louis, the expert climber, scaled the building and helped disable external alarms, while the rest of the crew gained access to the vault area. The vault itself was a massive steel-reinforced door that would take a pro to crack, but the crew wasn't worried. They had the tools and the expertise. Within an hour, they had access to the vault. And just like that, the heist was on. They started loading the cash into bags, stacking the money with the precision of a well-oiled machine. They moved like professionals, never rushing, never making a sound. It was almost like they had done this 100 times before. The perfect escape. And here's where the real brilliance of the plan shines through: the escape. This wasn't a dramatic, high-speed chase or a messy getaway. Nope. It was calm, quiet, and deliberate. The crew knew exactly where to go, what routes to take, and how to disappear without leaving a trace. They split up and went in different directions, each with a pre-planned escape route. Louis, the human fly, used his climbing skills to scale a building and disappear into the night. Others drove off in untraceable vehicles, blending into the surrounding traffic. For law enforcement, it was as if the thieves had vanished, the money was gone, the criminals were nowhere to be found, and the vault was left untouched. The authorities were left with no leads, no clues, and no idea who was responsible. The FBI came in to investigate, but even they were stumped. The case went cold, and the months turned into years. No one could figure out how they did it. The perfect crime? Absolutely. The fallout, the return of the money. You might think the story ends here, right? The crew pulls off the heist, disappears, and the money is lost forever. But there's a twist. A few years after the crime, a chunk of the stolen cash started showing up in circulation. It was like the money had a mind of its own, popping up in various places. Like someone was slowly letting it filter back into the system. But here's where the story takes another turn. Some members of the crew, for reasons only they knew, started turning on each other. Greed, jealousy, and the pressure of living with a massive amount of stolen money started to eat away at them. Some got too greedy, others cracked under the pressure, and eventually law enforcement started catching up. The perfect crime? Not so perfect anymore, but what about the rest of the crew? What happened to them?
The legacy of Oblivion's job.
Even though the criminals were eventually caught, the legend of the Brink's job has lived on. This wasn't just any heist. This was the blueprint for future criminals looking to pull off the perfect score. It set the bar for what a perfect heist could look like. And that's something that's influenced heists for decades. The legacy of the Brink's job is still with us today. Movies, TV shows, documentaries, all inspired by the perfection of this crime. It's one of the most famous heists in history, and for good reason. But the real question is, was it really perfect? Sure, the crew pulled it off and they got away clean. But in the end, human nature crept in. Greed, betrayal, and the inability to keep a low profile led to their downfall. Even the perfect plan has its flaws. And here's the kicker. What if the rest of the money is still out there? What if some of it's still waiting to be found? Could there be a hidden stash of $2.07 million just sitting there, waiting for the right person to uncover it? It's an incredible thought, isn't it? So the next time you hear about a heist, remember the Brink's job. It's the story of how a perfect crime was pulled off, but at the end of the day, even the most flawless plans can unravel. And who knows, maybe the legend isn't over yet.